Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Small Business Treasury. And today, I have a very, very important topic to talk about. It's going to be discussing the importance of ACH exceptions and having that feature inside your Treasury department, inside your organization, inside your banking platform is incredibly important to protect the capital, to protect your business checking account, to protect all the cash that's sitting in those accounts. So, what is ACH exception, also known as ACH fraud filter? ACH fraud filter is a treasury feature that is offered by all of your banks uh, under the treasury related services for your organization and business products. And the purpose of ACH exceptions is to notify you, the business owner, or the head of accounting, head of finance, whoever oversees the banking platforms of your organization, if someone is trying to debit funds from your bank account. Okay. So if you don't know anything about this channel discusses the importance of corporate treasury and how these large multi-billion dollar corporations operate and how we can implement that into small business organizations. My name is Frank. I have over 10 years of corporate treasury experience. I sit in middle management at a billion dollar organization right now. I oversee over $100 million in investable cash. I oversee over $150 million in cash across 125 bank accounts, over 75 business units or subsidiaries under my purview, and I have two analysts that work underneath me as I oversee their daily operations. So I have a lot of experience in corporate treasury. This is what I do for a living. This is what I'm passionate about. I come from a business, a family of small businesses, of growing enterprises, and growing up, I saw many times how they were exposed to their operations and how they could be drained from their accounts through fraudulent activity or by bad practices and treasury habits. So, anyways, going back to the point of this conversation is to discuss the importance of ACH exceptions in your organization. At multi-billion dollar corporations, as similar to where I work in, we have an entire department dedicated to protecting the company's cash from fraudulent activities and from embezzlement and other types of poor treasury habits that can lead to losing funds from your bank account. And one of the most common attempts from draining cash of an organization is if your bank account information is leaked, whether through the black market, through a former employer, whether it be from a vendor, disgruntled employee, whatever it may be, your banking information is leaked and somehow the public gets a hold of it. Anybody who has that banking information, they can theoretically go into some sort of third party platform and debit your account from whatever cash is sitting in that bank account. So if you have account ABC from JP Morgan Chase, 123, and there's $100,000 in that bank account, and you don't have ACH fraud filter enabled from your treasury services through your main banking partner, anybody with your banking information can go in there through a third party processor and drain those funds in that account through an ACH debit or through other types of fraudulent activities such as a fraudulent check. But the most common is ACH debit. So just like you in your business interactions, if you have your banking details of your client, you can go in there and debit their account with authorization, so you can collect the money that is rightfully yours for a product or service that you provided. The others can do that same thing for you if they have their banking information. Now, the difference between other organizations and your organization is if they're in larger organizations with proper treasury protocols and policies in place, then at the same time, they're most likely going to have ACH fraud filter, positive pay fraud filter, all these filters in place through their treasuries as a treasury service through their local organization and through the local primary bank. But you as a growing business, someone who's in the early stages or in the growing phase, or someone who's still in the process of learning all of these different vulnerabilities as an organization, you may not be aware of the importance of ACH fraud filter. So these large organizations, what they do is they have ACH exceptions in place. And so ACH exception is the notification. ACH fraud filter is the actual service. So those are two things that they're different names, but they mean the same thing. So ACH exception is the notification that you will get via email or via text, depending on how you have it set up. An ACH fraud filter is what you would go to the bank requesting as a treasury service. Okay, so when you go to your banker, when you go to your primary banking partner, whether that's through a private banker or through a treasury services treasury management officer, whatever direction you decide to go to, it's usually through a TMO, which is a treasury management officer. You are going to request adding ACH fraud filter. And what ACH fraud filter does is very simple. If your information is leaked, so you take a regular checking account, whether it's personal banking or business banking, but in this example, since we're discussing small businesses and growing businesses, we're going to use the example of a business checking account. Someone leaks the routing and account number into some sort of public platform. I've seen many instances where they sell it to the black market, they sell it to other criminals, they sell it to thieves who can get away with all these things. Whatever it may be, that information is leaked many times through a disgruntled employee, right? That's happened many times too. That information is leaked, and now a thief or a criminal has access to that banking information. They can go to some sort of Stripe platform, third-party ACH platform, some sort of third party that authorizes an ACH in between the remitter and the account that is being debited. Okay, so you think about it this way: you have your Stripe, you have your checking account, and then you have the criminal's checking account. In that process, they can go through that third party, issue an ACH debit to debit from your business checking account. And if your business checking account does not have ACH fraud filter, those funds will be drafted from that account. So it's very important that ACH fraud filter is in place so that doesn't happen. So what happens when you do have ACH fraud filter in place? Well, what ends up happening is as soon as the bank is notified that there's a third party attempting to debit the account, they're going to send you a notification via email that someone is attempting to debit the account. Now you go into your banking platform and you review who's attempting to debit the account, and if it's a legitimate transaction, a legitimate ACH, or if it's a fraudulent transaction, a fraudulent ACH. So in that process, that's what ACH fraud filter comes down to. It prevents your cash from being drained without your authorization. And many people underestimate that that's very easy to be accomplished if you don't have the proper treasury policies and procedures and products in place for your organization. Okay, so to repeat the main points, ACH fraud filter is the treasury product and service that you request from your bank that will allow you to protect those funds from automatically being debited from your account. ACH fraud exceptions is the notification that you would get via text or email when there is a situation that someone's attempting to debit those funds from your account. And it's very important because if you issue checks, maybe you issue it to contractors, maybe you issue them to vendors, whatever it may be. If you issue checks, remember that those checks have your ACH information on it. They have the routing number and they have the account number. So if someone gets a hold of those checks, even if it's malice or intentional or unintentional, your funds are at risk if you do not have ACH fraud filter in place. That is not a service that is automatically implemented when you open a business checking account. Just going to reiterate that, the importance of it. That is not a service that is automatically implemented when you open a business checking account with your local institution. You have to specifically ask that through your TMO or through your private banker to add that as a service to your business checking account. It's ACH fraud filter, along with positive pay fraud filter if you issue checks. But that's another topic for a different video. Today we're talking about ACH fraud filter. So I'll give you an example. I can't show the physical example that I got via email, but as I mentioned earlier in this video, I work in corporate treasury. I'm a treasury manager for a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and I oversee the treasury department at my organization, along with several other individuals that are under my team, and we handle about $100 million in excess cash for institution and $150 million across the entire organization, across 125 bank accounts, over 75 business units or subsidiaries. So I'll give you an example of what an ACH exception looks like whenever you receive it and you have that enabled. Okay, and give me a second here because I have to pull it up. I'm using my work laptop here. So I'll give you here an alert very vaguely because I cannot disclose, obviously, for confidential reasons. But you'll get an alert that says your ACH positive pay exception is pending your decision from blank institution. It says you have one new ACH positive pay exception available for review. Your full list is in blank under review. So that's usually the location under your banking platform and which is located for ACH positive pay, ACH and positive pay review. And it'll list the account number under XXX and then the last 4 digits, and then exceptions 1, 2, or 3, depending on how many transactions are being disclosed or being required for review. And then it's just an automated set email that is sent from your financial institution. So that's very important because as the business owner, whether you're a C-suite CEO or you've delegated that to your head of accounting, your CFO, or maybe you have your own treasurer, right? Whoever it is that oversees the banking platform of your organization, they should be receiving these on a very frequent basis, whether it's daily or how many times throughout the week someone is attempting to debit your ACH, your funds via ACH from your business checking account. Okay, if you have several that need review, it'll show like exceptions 3, 4, 5, whatever the case may be. But that's the importance of ACH Fraud Filter. That's the importance of having that in place to make sure that whenever someone is attempting to debit these funds from your account, that it works very difficult to obtain through your offering good services and offering good products to your customers, that you're not losing it through a criminal who happened to get a hold of your financial information and your banking information. These treasury services are incredibly important for a growing organization because you have to be educated on this stuff and you have to be responsible and accountable to make sure that you're protecting your company's cash, right? As a growing business, you may not think this is relevant to you, but the reality is at multi-billion-dollar corporations, when they get seed funded from venture capitalists, one of the main things that they go to when they go and hire a KPMG or a Big Four, the first thing is they do a treasury audit to make sure that they have proper treasury protocols and policies in place within the organization to make sure that the investment that the company, these venture capitalists are making into the organization is being protected. Because as the company grows and you become more exposed and you are put more into the public eye, more people are aware of your growth, maybe through social media channels, maybe through LinkedIn, maybe through YouTube, maybe through word of mouth reputation, maybe through advertising. The point is your company has become public, and the more eyes come into going into your business could also mean more revenue, but at the same time it increases exposure and risk and liability because you have criminals that are very, very intelligent who will create fake invoices, who will try to debit through ACH, who will try to request an immediate wires, who will send fake invoices to your accounting department. It is very important for you as a CEO or the C-suite or the head of accounting who is aware of all of these different tactics from criminals, but at the same time, most importantly, to have good policies and practices in place to prevent those things from occurring. And so that's just the main topic of today's video. If you ever need questions, you want to get a hold of me directly to explain to you how we do it at large corporations, you can get a hold of me. My links are down below. If you want to check out my LinkedIn, look at my background, see what my corporate experience, treasury experience is, you can go to my LinkedIn. I have all the links down there. Read about it, read what I manage, what we do, and then I can help you implement all of those things into your own organization. As I said, I work in corporate treasury, 10 years of corporate experience. It's what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. I come from a family of small businesses. I've seen the exposure. I've seen the risks that they've been involved in. So my job now is to take those two worlds and help the small business owner to make sure that they're not exposed and they're protecting the cash that they worked so difficult to obtain. So anyways, that's all for today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.